Okay, so here we've got a challenge question. Seth can either ride his bike or walk to school. He can ride at 5 miles per hour for 0.6 miles on Elm Street and then 0.8 miles on Maple Street, or he can walk at 2 miles per hour on the walking trail. How much longer should it take Seth to walk to school than to ride his bike? Okay, so there are a couple different things that we're going to have to do in order to solve this problem. What we should notice is that we've got a leg here and a leg here, and we're missing the length of this walking trail. So let's let that be our first task. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call this A and this B, and we're looking for C. Okay, so we're going to say A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right, 0.8 plus 0.6, oh, I got my square there and there, equals C squared. 0.8 squared gives me 0.64. 0.6 squared gives me 0.36. Okay. 0.64 plus 0.36 is going to give me 1. Okay. Find the square root of both sides. The square root of 1 is 1. Okay, so the distance of the walking trail is 1 mile. Okay, all right, so we found the distance. Now we've got to figure out how that's going to help us to figure out the time that he's going to take, right? Because that's our ultimate question. We want to know which one is going to take less time. And what we also know is that when he's biking, he gets to go faster, right? Okay, so let's think, if he's walking, we know that he's going to be walking 1 mile, and that when he walks, he can walk 2 miles per hour. So we are actually going to set up some proportions to help us solve this. So we know that if he can walk 2 miles every 1 hour, okay? We're going to set up a proportion and set that equal to, and we're going to say, we know that he's walking a total of 1 mile, right? Okay, so what we've got to know is, we want to know how long that's going to take him. So we're going to call that X, okay? So let's use our handy dandy butterfly method here. And we end up with 2x equals 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. We're going to divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 1/2. Okay, so when we put that into the context of our problem, remember we were solving for a time, how long it's going to take. We know that this is going to take us half an hour. It's going to take half of an hour for Seth to walk on the walking trail. Okay, so let's write that out in a sentence. It will take Seth half an hour to walk on the walking trail. Okay, and we can also think about that in decimal form as 0.5. All right, let's take a look at what we've got for riding his bike. We know that he is going to be riding his bike for 0.8 miles and 0.6 miles. So we can go ahead and say we know that he's going to be riding his bike for a total, oh goodness gracious. All right, when he rides his bike, he's going to be riding his bike first for 0.6 miles and then for 0.8 miles. All right, so when we add that together, we see that Seth is going to be riding, if he chooses to ride his bike, he will be riding his bike for a total, oh goodness, of 1.4 miles. Okay, all right. In order for us to find out how long it's going to take for him to bike 1.4 miles, again, we're going to set up a proportion. So we know that he can bike at 5 miles per 1 hour. Okay, And we know that he's going to ride for 1.4 miles. And we want to know how long that's going to take. So we're going to say over X hours. Okay. We are then going to use our butterfly method. Okay. And we're going to end up here with 5x equals 1.4. Okay. So let's go ahead and divide both sides of this equation by 5. When we divide 1.4 by 5, we're going to get 0.28. Okay. So this tells us that it's going to take him 0.28 hours to ride his bike. So let's put that in a sentence form. It will take Seth 0.28 hours to ride his bike. Okay. All right. Make this, give ourselves a little more room here. Okay. All right, so our final question that it asks us is, how much longer should it take Seth to walk to school than to ride his bike? So if we know that it's going to take 0.5 hours to walk and it's going to take 0.28 hours to ride, what we can do simply is to subtract. So 0.5 minus 0.28 is 0.5 minus 0.28. It's going to give us 0.22. So it's going to take 0.22 hours longer to walk than it would to ride. So our final answer here is C. Oh my goodness. B. Listen, y'all are going to have to keep me on my toes.